All right, we're live. Okay, so the things that are remaining for us to do is to understand the curtain wall systems and add some components. So, all right, we're live. Ooh, 1 second, I need to cue. Okay, so the things that are remaining for us to do is to understand the curtain wall systems and add some components. So, all right, we're live. Ooh, 1 second, I need to cue. Okay, I need to mute myself on the other screen because you're hearing my second voice down there. Okay. All right, so here is the, I'm going to show you now how to load for components. I think we did that already, but I'm also going to show you some tips on how to bring custom families from outside and method of reviewing content. There's a lot of content for Revit available for free in the internet. And a lot of these resources are good. They are good quality. A lot of them are really bad quality as well. So we're going to show you some ways in which you can review content before you bring it into your project. It's really important to review families before you bring them over. Sometimes these families are preloaded with a lot of information and data that you don't need, or they are part of a different world region with a different language, and they are unable to be scheduled. And so it's important that before you bring anything that is not out of the box, that there's a common understanding of how family works inside Revit and how you can change internal properties so they are compatible with the way you want your documents. Okay, so one of the nice ways of navigating in Revit 3D is the ability to create and duplicate views. So to create the project browser lists all the views available in the project, but and they are sorted out by view family type. And example of family types is floor plans, ceiling plan, 3D views, elevation, section, renders. So the way this project browser is organized is because it has a default system of parameters by which the views are organized. And so this is all fine. But I'm going to show you now how you can duplicate views and create new family types. All right, the easy one. If you're going to be creating multiple 3D views to serve different purposes, maybe one 3D view is for working, another one is for 3D visualization, another one you just want to save for documentation. You can duplicate views using the right-click menu, the mouse menu on a view. And when you duplicate a view, you have these options. You can just duplicate it. And then there's another one called duplicate with detailing. And duplicate with detailing, it's a method by which you also duplicate all the view-specific objects. So things like dimensions, tags, arrows, section tags, and all type of tags are duplicated as well. If we just do the duplicate, it's just going to duplicate the geometry, but it's not going to place any of the detail of specific element. And then there's another one called view duplicate as dependent, which is this disable here because it's only available in projection views. Well, let me show you how that works. So I'm going to open level 1 and say that I'm going to have different type of view objectives. Like some views are suitable for construction, other views are like say for interiors, others are for analysis. And so duplicating views, it's something that's um, encouraged to create different type of views. And say, for example, I need to create a floor plan that it's for furniture. So I'm going to duplicate level 1, and all you have to do is click on the level and duplicate view, duplicate. Notice now that add appendant it's enabled. I'm going to go into that in a second. So when I duplicate level 1, it creates one that says copy 1. And then there are different ways that you understand what's the name of the view. So when these words are in italic, that means that's the active view. Also, the tab that is active is going to be displayed in italics. And also you're going to have a reporting view at the top of the screen, disclosing what is the active view. There are 3 places that you can look at to review where you're at in the user. What's the active view in your workstation. Notice also that I have all these different tabs opens in the background, which I can click and duplicate. And then there is the last icon in the quick access bar. This it's like a little icon with little windows. That is switch windows. And that enable me, if this list becomes really big, then you can navigate and jump on the different views. This is the equivalent of just clicking on the tab. But you don't have to do this, but as I start opening different views, my user interface above starts getting smaller and smaller. And then notice that I exceeded the number of tabs that the user interface can display. And so when I do this, then you can disclose the views that are not visible. For example, elevation north is not visible in the view. Another quick thing you can do, and this is a good practice, having too many views open at the same time is not advisable, because Revit has to refresh multiple views at a time to keep them in synchronization, meaning that if you move a wall, you move a window, Revit has to use memory, RAM memory, to refresh each of these different tabs. And so the rate of depletion of memory accelerates. And so it's good practice just to keep a couple of views open, just 2 or 3, the ones that you use the most, and close the rest. And so a quick way to close views is to you close the tabs, or you make an active view your active working view. You just hit one of the tabs, and then right next to this button there's an icon that looks like a little square with a red X, and this is called close inactive views. And what this is going to do is just close everything except the active view. And this is a very quick shortcut just to close all the open views that you don't need. So I use that a lot when I'm modeling, and it's very easy access. So you just click here, and all the views get closed except the active ones. So you don't have to be jumping around or closing each tab manually. All right, so these two work together. This one cycles between open views. The one next to it enable me to close all the views in a single click. All right, so we were talking about duplicating views. So I created this copy of a floor plan. I'm going to rename it via right click, and I'm going to call this level 1-furniture. And this is probably interiors, furnishing, finishes type of floor plan. I could do other types, like I could do enlarged plans, etc. Now, if this was a multi-story building or a high-rise maybe I want to keep the furniture plans segregated from the construction floor plans. And so that's where I could get started creating new view family types. So what I'm going to show you now is create new view family types. And usually the template from your company has this already sorted out for you. For example, your template must have the way in which the views are accessed and grouped together. But I'm going to show you how you can create a new family type. In this case, I want to create a new family type that is called furniture plans. And in this list of views, there's no family type called furniture plan. And so the way to do this is as follows. Make sure you have nothing selected. The only thing you're displaying is level 1. And then hit the edit type button, which discloses the type properties of the view. The view is also an element. It's a view, it's a family, and it's in reality a view. It's a work plane. It's a work plane that is dissecting the model in a working plane. And so views are system families, so you cannot copy paste them between projects, but you can duplicate it and give it a new name. So what this is going to do is based on a baseline type called floor plan, I'm going to duplicate a new family and I'm going to give it a new name. I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to call this furniture plan. Hit OK. And then that's it. Notice now that the active view that I've been working is now aggregated in a new type of family. So this is a new view family.
Can you do that? Can you do that one more? How did you get to the type properties box?
Okay, so I'm going to undo this and do it again. So make the furniture plan the active view.
Yep.
And then in the property windows, hit the edit type button.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And duplicate it and call this a furniture plan. Oh, it's already used that. I have this here. Oh, I have it here. Once it's created, I had to undo twice in order to undo this step.
Thank you.
Okay. So the same is true for the way architects and designers use this the most is when details is to group and sort typical details. So when you start creating details in Revit, the detail default family type start increasing in size. And so I'll give you an example. I'm going to create a new view, and this is going to be a call out. So I go to the view tab and then go to the call out, and this is going to create in the property window in the drop down selector. Now you remember the UI, this is called the drop down selector. You can use the drop down selector to define what type of family, what type of view family you're going to use to create your details. So in this case, I'm going to create, let's say, an enlarged detail plan. And then let's say that detail plan is going to describe how this corner condition works. So I create this, and immediately under the project browser, you're going to see a new detail view called detail 0. Again, if you miss the step, you go to the View tab, you hit Call Out, and then in the drop-down selector, select the Detail View. You can create other, again, a copy of the floor plan or a new furniture plan if you want. In this case, I'm creating an enlarged detail view, and then place it on the screen. Revit's going to automatically create a new detail in the project browser, and you can rename this. Let's say this is a corner detail. And so in a real project, detail views are going to grow in size. You're going to have a lot of details. In the context of very, very large projects, it's very, because these details are sorted alphabetically, it's a little not intuitive to navigate in the details. And so a lot of firms decide to segregate the detail views by type. For example, you can create your typical floor finish transitions, for example, or all your ceiling details. So if I want to have a new section that is called detail views for ceilings, you can definitely create a new view type. And it's exactly the same thing. You open the view type. In this case, I'm going to open the corner detail. This is my active view. And then I'm going to hit the edit type button to access the type properties. And duplicate it and rename. So the name of this is going to be typical ceiling details. Hit OK. Hit OK. And now I created the active view I had. It's now segregated under the typical ceiling details. And so when I create a call out in the list of families available to you, I also have a new view type called typical ceiling details. And so you can start creating new views using new view families, and they're going to get sorted out by view type in the project browser. Creates new view types. So quick tip in order to organize your project in a much better way. When we start the documentation model, I'm going to share with you a real project, a real housing project that we secure from one of our contributors, and you're going to see how the project browser grows in complexity as the project develops. And so getting a hold on how the views are organized, it's quite imperative. I'll talk more about that when we get to that level. For now, I'm going to close the corner detail, and I show you now how to create a new view type based on an existing one. All right, and let's add some furniture. For example, I know that there's a queen size bed in this wing, and there's another one in this part as well. And when I navigate to the furniture category in the project browser, towards the end, you'll see the family tree, and all the branches are the different categories. So on the furniture, the only thing I see is a desk. And so I'm going to bring a queen size bed. And I think I showed you before, we can insert new families using the local family. We can also use the cloud repository. I'm going to use the cloud this time. So to bring a bed, you go into the Insert tab, then hit the Load Architectural Autodesk Family. And this brings the Cloud of Components dialog box. All these components are hosted in an Autodesk server, and you can search families by category, or you can just search by keyword. In the search cell, I'm going to type bed, and these are the different bed types. There's one here called bed box. There's another one called bed standard, and there's bed bunks. So I'm going to need this three of, I think in the kids' room there are 2 bed bunks. So I believe you can load them at once. Remind me, somebody was having this problem last time that you don't see this checkbox. If that's still the case for you, we'll have to repeat the process a couple of times. And it might be that you need to install the latest incremental release. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But for now, I'm going to load the bed box, the bed standard, and the bed bunk. So these downloads the family and load them into the available categories of components. Again, for those who just can do just one at a time, I'm going to do it again. You go to the insert, load family, search for the bed, hit on the family, load it. And notice when I load a family that's already existing, it doesn't replace it. It doesn't give me any warning. But if I make changes to the family in the browser, it will ask me, hey, you want to replace this? There are types with the same name, but they have different properties. And you choose if you want to replace it or not. So again, insert, load Autodesk family, and search for the bed. And I inserted the bed box, bed bunk, and bed standard.
Caesar, when I'm clicking on the load Autodesk family, doesn't open any new window.
Are you connected to your, do you have your profile connected to Revit?
Yeah.
And are you using 2 monitors?
Yes.
And you don't see anywhere? I think.
Oh, I see. It's in the other one. Yes, I see now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sometimes it helps to use Alt-Tab. Alt-Tab cycles through all the open windows. And it happens to me sometimes. Sometimes this dialog box, or there's a dialog box in the back of Revit, and I don't see it. Oh.
Okay.
Okay. The another thing to know is that Revit organizes components using divisions according to industry standards, and so this is division 12, furnishings. And so in this type of organization, it's important because it's embedded data that comes with the family. And when we want to, let's say, a schedule or a contractor wants to schedule components by division, that division number is already embedded with the component, and they can be sorted out using it. Okay, so I loaded the bed box, and notice how they are. The bed box is the one that has a queen, 60 by 79 inches. And before you place it into the view, you can check the type properties. And you can check type properties just by double clicking the type in the project browser. Like I have expanded the bed box types. You double click and these are the type properties. And you can choose to swap materials. For example, this is a birch with a white linen. You can search for a new material if you want to, or create a new one as needed. Now, the other thing to notice is that when a family has an embedded material not available in the project, it will import that material. So this white linen material that wasn't in the library before, but just by the virtue of bringing that family, then all the materials that that family brings becomes project materials. And so if the material is in Revit and you bring a family that has the same name, the material definition in the project will prevail. So it's going to supersede the one that you're bringing from outside. And that's usually the case for a lot of things you bring from the outside. If there's a definition already living in the project, the definition in the project prevails, cannot be superseded unless you do something called like transfer settings. Transfer setting is a way to like force the current project to accept settings. And there is under the Manage tab, you're going to find a button called Transfer Project Standards. And then if I have two projects and I want to like transfer the materials from that project into this project, I can use the Transfer Project settings to like force my active section to accept the materials from another section. I'm going to use that again during the documentation phase. All right, so now that I have the bed box, you can just drag it and drop it. And notice that as you drag things into Revit, they will be hosted by a level. And then you can hit the space bar to rotate the bed. And then you can just place it, and the command remain active until you hit escape. I'm going to place a bed here, and I'm also going to place another bed here. And when I hit space bar, it rotates 45 degrees increments. So this is going to be facing this direction. Then hit escape. The house also displayed two bunk beds, and this is the kids' room. So I'm going to grab the bed bunk, which is 82 by 36. And then you drag it, drop it, and let's make it snap to the walls. That's my first one. And then escape. Sorry, space. I will rotate the other one, and this is going to be placed here. All right. Bringing components it's easy. Now let's try to look for a component that is not readily available. So in this spaces outside, there is a picnic table in the backside. And if I go to insert, load, Autodesk family, I think there's not one here. Picnic. Yeah, there's no picnic table. So what do I do? Right. So I'm going to show you some a survey of places that you can go get good quality content. The first one, and the one I recommend the most, is called BIM Object. And I'm going to put these links in the chat panel. BIM Object. objects. BIM object. Yeah, this one. So it's called bimobject.com. That's the first one. And these, many years ago, Autodesk used to maintain, host, and distribute this library of objects. So BIM object was something that we undertook as part of the software. But then we realized that in order to engage with manufacturers and start posting relevant documents, that was something outside of Autodesk scope. And so they sold BIM object to, they privatized it. And now you have to sign up in order to get products. And what I like about this is that this is the people who inherit this company really step it up. They really maintain really good quality. You have to sign up in order to access the information, but it's been around for a lot of time, and the information that goes here, it's pretty good. I think I have an account, and I'm using my Autodesk account, which I have to use this duo thing. You can also create your own account using your personal thing. But once you log in, you can search for a lot of different type of content by all these different categories. The amount of information here, I think they say like 30,000 families. This is far exceed what Autodesk is able to pack in the out of the box. So let's say if there's any picnic table here. So these there is a one here, the 6 feet and an 8 feet, and then you see all these different types. Now, be careful with language, because a lot of these, especially Northern European or coming from Asian countries, they will have all the parameters listed as in that language. And so if the information contained by these families is something you're not gonna schedule or you're not gonna care about, then that's fine. But if this is information you want to schedule, then we need to review and open the family. So for this, in my case, I'm not gonna force you to open an account. You choose if you want to do it. But of all the sites, I think that I know of content, this is probably one of the safest one. I'm gonna download this one. Then you have a choice to pick what type of asset you need. This is a Revit family, what I need. And it looks like there's a catalog and there's sitescapes. So a type catalog is a TXT file that comes with a family and allows the users to expand the amount of types available to them. So I'm going to download both of them, the type catalog and the Revit outdoor sitescapes.
Do you have to be careful of how large these files are?
Yes, and so before we load them, we want to read or open show in folder and see how big the files are. In this case, a typical family goes in between 600 and maybe 2,000 kilobytes. Anything that is bigger than 2,500 is borderline. But anything that goes bigger than that, it's something we need to be careful. In particular, it's going to be copied a lot across different spots in the project. This before I load this into my project, maybe I want to just open it and inspect it. So I'm going to double click this. It was in 2015. I'm going to upgrade, obviously. Upgrade doesn't take that long. And this is how the family looks like. So notice how it has a lot of detail. And this is what's important. Do we need all this level of detail? And now this is displaying fine. If I switch this to course, yeah, there are some things that are going to be switched off when I switch to course. And then the other thing is to open the type properties. This is the family editor, and we haven't talked about family editor yet. But when you open a family with the extension RFA, you're going to open the family editor. One of the buttons that the family editor has is something called the family types, which it's a dialog box that discloses all the internal information inside Revit. It's here. So, damn, this bench is complex. You see all these different parameters with all these different formulas. And the thing to be careful is that a lot of these families have been created by the manufacturers because they want you to purchase their style. And so the geometrical properties are aligned with their specifications and their materials. And so if this is not generic enough, I would say, and if you don't care, if you think this is just like a one-time, you can use it, that's your choice. But if it was me and I'm just doing a schematic design, I would not use this family because it's too granular, it's not generic enough. Right? And so that's why it's important to open a family to understand how it looks like. Okay, but as far as the quality of the construction, BIM object is a good choice. In particular, you're going to see that all of them are associated with a manufacturer, Lecolar, for example. Simply, and there's tons of different options here. You can also sort the results by brand. It tells you in brackets the number of types available. And then different categories, either nested inside the family, and then manufacturers in the United States or by region. So BIM objects are highly recommended with caution, right? Caution as far as understanding what's inside the family. The other one that it's good, but it's more like a free for all, and it's like a flea market. It's Revit City, revitcity.com. And this is community-based repository. And what that means is that anyone can post anything. And it's been around for a lot of years. I think since 2014, 2012. The developers or the people behind Revit City, they only do the website maintenance. But then all the content that's posted here can be posted by anyone who creates and sign up. Again, in order to access the content, you have to create an account. I'm going to copy this to the clipboard, and I'm also going to paste it in the chat panel here. So with this site, I think there's a big library where you hit downloads here. Again, the components are sorted by CSI number, master format, and you can search also by keyword. And in my case, I'm gonna search for a picnic table, search it, and there are some options here. There's one that's called wood table. What's good about this is I give you a preview, and there are comments by users who give some rating to the family. And like this one itself, it explains what the family does. It's adjustable by length and the version of Revit. And when it was created, like, this is a very old one. And then there's this 5-foot metal one made for Revit 2013. And if this is something you like, again, with this site in particular, have a lot more conscious on reviewing the family. I would say you have to open this family before you bring it into Revit to understand the type of information it contains. So you have to log into your account. You have to create an account in order to download this. When I download that, which is open here, upgraded it, and this is the picnic table. It has the thing you want to do is understand the parameters. Two things. You review things to review in families. First and foremost, the size. It has to be less than 1200 kilobytes, ideally. 2 maximum. And then open the type properties. And the type properties, it's this button here. It's when you open the family, it's this big square with another square, and review how it's built. Like this one, it's very generic. It doesn't have any information whatsoever. So it seems like this is not a parametric family. It doesn't contain any, it's not associated with any manufacturer. Because if there was any information, that information will be available under the type properties, family types. And then, but we can see if material, like this is a picnic table blue, and the metal supports don't have any material associated with that. So you can, I mean, this is probably generic enough, in my opinion. And you can say, okay, instead of being material picnic table, I'm gonna make it a wood. And these are type of wood, type birch here. Have to hit apply and hit OK to change it. And again, I could match properties from here, or in the family editor, I have to select all of them at the same time. Control to select multiple, and in the material, double click birch. And when it switches to realistic, the material should pop. So you can make all this, you can tweak the family and assign it the materials that you need, understand the type properties. And then once you've done doing your review, then you can save it, or you can load into the project directly from the family editor. Load into project will pack this family and load it into the project you have open in the background. And that picnic table with the reviewed material, I'm just going to rotate and place it here. Escape. Okay, so Revit City, it's a good one, but it's like there's a lot of choices, but you have to be extra careful of reviewing the properties of the families available here. And then there are a lot of them that are for pay. And traditionally, the more modern the family or the higher impact it has, the more the chances that it will be available in something for pay. There's one called Blue Brick. I see Blue Brick. No, not this one. Blue Brick Family Revit. Oh, maybe it's not around anymore. Maybe it's Yellow Brick. This guy used to be my colleague. Yellow Brick, here it is. Yes, this is. Yeah, not these guys. Well, I haven't checked in a while, so it's probably no longer. This guy retired from HOK and he opened his company, but I don't see his website listed anymore. And it was with Y, that's all I remember. The other one is this reminds me of the National BIM Library. I think this is from the UK. And a lot of these are certified by NBS, which is an agency, I think it's an agency that oversees the application of BIM standards in the UK. They have a plugin that it's integrated with Revit. So just like the load Autodesk dialog box that you see, then that plugin it's in Revit as well. So I'm going to copy paste this in the chat panel. The good thing about the NBS BIM library is that it's created by a very, very respected national agency. The NBS is a regulatory body of the UK BIM standards. And unlike the United States, these components are open to, I think the UK mandates to all public projects to be on Revit, and the public agency provide the families with the parameters needed to make those projects happen. And so the BIM library, it's maintained by the state, and it's used heavily because it provides companies to have a very consistent way of representing geometry and data across all industries. And so when requisitions go out for RFQs, they usually send a link with the families that are expected to be used. The United States doesn't have a body like that. I mean, the closest thing is the Build Smart International. And so here is, you can select and download things grouped by library as well, by manufacturer, and subcategories. And it doesn't cost anything to download. And then let me see, in the United States, the Army Corps of Engineers also has a free library. Corps Engineers BIM library. Yeah, this one. The USCE BIM library. Again, you have to create your account. I'm gonna paste this here. And so it has an object library that you have to sign in. Don't think I'm signed in. Oh yeah, I am signing. And it has a navigator similar to the one from Autodesk. Doors. And again, because this is also behind a very reputable agency, if you do project with the Army Corps of Engineers, you must use their library because they have a very elaborate set of requirements from contractors, and this library usually is downloadable, and you can use it as needed. So there's a lot of furniture here as well. And what I like about, in particular, this one is that it is very generic. It doesn't have manufacturer information associated with that. So I highly recommend this one as well. The drawback is that a lot of these components are big and bulk. They are not like nice looking. Well, there are some exceptions, right? But these are good working ones, but they don't have really good, nice texture or highly high detail families. And then for pay, let me see, there's I think ARCAT has a BIM library. Yeah, ARCAT, I think you're familiar with ARCAT. I think they provide specification books. And they also have a library of components, but this one is heavily manufacturer. Like, you're not gonna have anything generic here. Everything here has a manufacturer. You can get components in Revit or in SketchUp or DWG. And then there's a lot of different type of software that they cater to. So it's multi-software. Obviously, manufacturers contact them. They upload the files. I don't think there's a lot of review from their end, but there's another choice. And then just go to the manufacturer themselves. Like, for example, if you're looking for Herman Miller desks or Herman Miller chairs, just go to the website of Herman Miller. Revit download. Now, these are really good looking, very good for a realistic representation. But man, these families are huge. They are huge. So because they are so well put together and they're modeled to the minutiae. Like, you know, you find all these classical pieces of furniture in a way to apply custom materials. You can download them, and if you're looking at if you want to create 3D realistic renderings, go for it. But don't copy this family across everything. What I tell my users sometimes is you have your documentation model, which is used for construction documentation, and then create a new project. And this project link the documentation files, and then use this file as a rendering model. And so in this rendering model, you place all these pieces of furniture that are really big on size, but you don't contaminate your documentation model, which continue being lean and manageable. And then in this new file with the link file, you can overload it with components and not compromise the integrity of the main model. And so that model is used to create views and renderings. And you can search. If you have a specific manufacturer in mind, chances by now, a lot of them have BIM libraries. Steelcase is another one. Steelcase has a huge BIM library. BIM Revit. You can find the entire Steelcase library here. I'm just going to put it here, share it. Again, these are manufacturer provided families, and they come with everything. Every bolt is here. same comment as the Herman Miller ones. Like all the caskets here are highly detailed. They are perfect for realistic representation. They are not good for documentation. Okay, I think I gave you enough. Those are the ones on top of my mind that are relevant. And again, you can continue finding these per manufacturer. There's a lot of per pay. But once you review a family and use it in a project and it works, it's best to save it in a central location so that your library of components keep growing per usage, and build a robust library over time. All right, so I'm going to close this. Any question about where to get content and download content? All right, so let's talk about curtain walls. Yeah, let's talk about curtain walls. And for that, I'm going to open my PowerPoint. Okay, a curtain wall is a system family, just like the rest of the walls. But it's a system family that is made of different subcomponents. A curtain wall is created the same way we create our wall. You hit the wall command, you start a point, end the point, and the wall is going to come up with a predetermined unconnected height. The default height of any wall in Revit is 20 feet. But a curtain wall, it's made of 3 components. A curtain wall can be subdivided in sub-panels using curtain grids. And a curtain grid is it's a way to split the extent of a curtain wall in different regions. Then we have mullions, and the mullions are 2-dimensional components extruded along the length of a curtain grid. The mullions can have, they have a direction, they either horizontal or vertical. You can also have mullions at an angle. But between vertical and horizontal mullions, there's always primary mullion. There's one that it's the dominant mullion over the other ones. And that is a type property of mullions. I'm going to show you in a second. And then a wall that is subdivided by curtain grids create a curtain panel. And the curtain panel, can be a component family that you swap. You can swap one panel from one type to another one to display different materials or different thickness. You can also have a combination of loadable curtain panels and glass panels, for example. Now, the curtain walls, it's all about subdividing the area, subdividing a surface. And the surface subdivision can happen 2 ways. You can let Revit do the math for you. And what that means, Revit's going to subdivide the length of a wall by a certain number of horizontal and vertical panels that are equally subdividing the surface. So that is the automatic way of subdividing or creating curtain walls. That's the first one. And then the second one is the manual method. And the manual method is it's a system of creating a curtain wall in which the user, you decide where you want your curtain grids. So you have to manually place each of the curtain grids and decide what is the width and the height of the curtain panels. So it's a little bit more elaborate because it requires a lot of steps, but it's the one that provides you more flexibility in that you can design how your curtain wall might look like. So this is the manual method of creating curtain walls. You start by creating a gigantic piece of glass. And this is done using the wall command. You have a start point and a second point and a height. The height can be absolute by a distance, or you can associate to levels. But you start with this is the starting point of a curtain wall. You create a big piece of a wall. And you manually place grids in the horizontal and in the vertical, and you can adjust the distance or you can adjust the width of each of the panels manually using temporary dimensions. Once you design the subdivisions, then you can place mullions. Mullion families can be made to respond to different direction conditions. You know, there are jam mullions, there are base mullions, header mullions, intermediate mullions, and a lot of them respond to conditions from the manufacturer. But a mullion is basically an extrusion, two-dimensional extrusion, a two-dimensional area extruded along the length of a grid. And then finally, we can select panels and swap them with other ones. The example, it's how you use doors. A door in an embedded door inside a curtain wall system is a panel. It's not actually a door, but it behaves and schedules like a door. But the way you place a door inside a curtain wall system is you select the panel and then you swap it with a curtain wall door, which is different from the regular doors. So let's do that. And we're going to build this, and then we're going to place doors as well. All right, so here I am in the Miller house, and let's place doors, and then we place a curtain wall doors. I think this whole house have a couple of doors in the toilets, I believe, and then entry doors. So to display the image in the background, I'm going to switch the visual style to wireframe, and then switch the detail level to fine. Oh, and the image, I froze it. So go to the visibility graphic, I think. And I go to image under annotation category, or on the model. But I don't have it. Where is the image here? Let me find it here using the real hidden elements, not here. Wow, maybe I did delete it. Oh, you know what? This is in the furniture. An image is a view specific element, so I have to go to the original view. And here it is. So on my level one, not in my furniture one, I go to the visual style wireframe, and then the detail level to find. Right. And so this is gonna disclose some of the doors. I believe there's a pocket door in the restroom here. I believe there's another pocket door here as well. And then there are two doors embedded with a curtain wall door. So I don't think I have. We can look for a pocket door in. I don't think we have a pocket door out of the box, but let me check quickly. If I go to insert Autodesk family, I don't think we have one. Oh yes, we have one. There's this interior single pocket, and we load it. And this is what's called a type catalog. Remember that text file that I told you that some manufacturers provide with the family? It has a text definition that has all these different types. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be like a 30 or a 28. Let's bring a 28 inches by 80. Hit OK. And then again, what I did is go to insert, load out of this family, look for the word pocket in the search cell, and bring the interior single pocket. And hit load. And then type selector is going to open, and I selected the 28 by 80. And under doors, here is the pocket door, 28 by 80. So just drag it and place it in here. I'm going to do another one here as well. Yeah, then there's this closet doors. I believe there may be some closet here as well. So I'll go back into the insert load Autodesk family. Look for closet. Yeah, this is one that I don't think we have. Closet doors. No search. So easy. The best thing to do on that case is to get the door from BIM objects, and I already show you how to do that. So I don't want to spend our time doing that. Let's focus now on creating a curtain wall. And so, before I start the curtain wall, I'm going to do here on a side how curtain walls work. So you create a curtain wall using the architectural tab, and then you hit the wall tool. And in the type selector in the property window, this is the type selector, this drop down list. When you scroll all the way towards the end, you are going to find 3 ways of creating curtain walls. And pay attention to this is on Thursday test. So curtain wall 1 is method number 1. This is the manual method of creating curtain walls. And when I say manual method, that means that the user has to create a gigantic piece of sheet, subdivided in grids, place mullions, and swap panels. The other one is exterior glazing. This is only used for roofing. So if you have a roof and you want to convert that roof into a curtain wall system, you use the exterior glazing. And then method number 3, which is that storefront. This is the automatic method of creating curtain walls. When I say automatic, that means that Revit is going to apply a simple subdivision rule to divide a wall in vertical and horizontal spaces. But it's very simple. It's just you tell Revit how many subdivisions you want, what rule you want to apply, and then Revit does the math for you. So when you create a curtain wall, you need to choose a method, and the method depends on what family you picked. And so I'm going to start this demo with the automatic method, and then I'm going to use the manual method. All right. So to start a curtain wall, you go wall again, and then in the type selector, scroll all the way down, and I'm going to choose the storefront. And the storefront is the automatic method of creating a curtain wall. So you hit storefront, you pick a first point, you pick a second point, and then hit escape, and boom, it's all done automatically. You didn't have to do a lot of math yourself. Revit does the subdivision for you based on a set of rules in the type properties. What you can do is create new types and apply a different set of rules. For example, when you hover over one of these symbols, and again, if you fall behind, all I did is create a wall, curtain wall storefront, and then hit the first point, second point, and then escape. To change the rule set of these subdivisions, you select the assemble. The assemble is that that there's like this triple dash line around the element envelope. When you select that, then you can edit the type properties. And inside the type properties, we have the rules of curtain wall subdivision. So select it, edit the type, and these are all the embedded rules of subdivisions. And the ones that drives that are these two rules, the vertical and the horizontal grid. And so Revit applies a layout rule on the vertical and the horizontal, and then you decide what is the width. So the set of rule sets are based on fixed distances. And when you use a fixed distance, Revit starts creating fixed width of panels. And obviously at the end, there's going to be a residual. But the fixed distance comply to the spacing requirement. But know that you're going to have a residual panel. You can also have a fixed number. And a fixed number is how many panels you need. Now, the fixed number is not disclosed in the type property, but it's disclosed in the instance properties. And so if you choose a fixed number, you have to go back to the instance properties and select how many items do you need. So that property is right here. You see it says number here. So again, I'm going to edit the type properties. And what I was saying, if you choose fixed number, you have to go back to this number and edit it out. So this is like saying I need 3 subdivisions, no matter what the width is. The other layout rule, it's maximum spacing and minimum spacing. I think it's self-explanatory. Maximum, it's subdivide the length of the wall by a factor up to a maximum. So the subdivision is going to be at the most 5 feet. And then minimum spacing, it's what is the minimum width of the subdivision. And so at the minimum, it's going to be 5 feet. It could be bigger than 5 feet or less than 5 feet. And so let's change some of the rules here. And again, I'm changing instance type parameters. So this is going to impact all of them. So let's say the minimum vertical spacing was 3 feet. If you just hit apply here, then that's the new subdivision. Minimum spacing of 6. And Revit does the math automatically. You can also do fixed distance of 2 feet, for example. And then all of these panels are 2 feet except the last one, which is a residual one. A fixed distance of 4 feet. All of these panels are exactly 4 feet from center line, from grid line to grid line, except the last one, which is a residual. I guess I could say maximum spacing up to 4. Maybe that it's a manufacturer requirement. And then I have the length of a wall is equal the space to a maximum spacing of 4 feet. So that's how it works with storefronts, and this method is automatic because all the subdivision rules are created using type properties, the type property windows. And then the manual method, remember this is the automatic method. And then the manual method, it's using the family called curtain wall 1. So you get started the same way, start a wall. And then in the type properties, you select curtain wall 1, not the storefront, curtain wall 1. And again, curtain wall 1, and I'm saying it again, curtain wall 1 equals manual method of creating curtain walls. And if I use this method, then I have to manually create horizontal subdivisions, vertical subdivisions, apply mullions, and then add panels and doors. All right, so I start with wall, curtain wall 1, first point, second point. And notice how, unlike this type, which came pre-divided with different panels, this is a gigantic piece of glazing. And then the properties of that glazing you can see on the type properties. It has, or is it here? Oh, I have to tab, select the panel, and the type properties tell me what's the width. Like this panel, it's 1.25 inches in thickness. All right, after I have this big piece of glazing, then I subdivide the surface using curtain grids. So you go into the architectural tab and you find the command curtain grid. And a curtain grid, it's a way to subdivide the panel in the vertical or horizontal. So in order to place a vertical grid, you have to touch the horizontal edge. Again, this is the rule to create a vertical grid, touch a horizontal edge. And the horizontal edge is either the top or the bottom one. If you try to place, you just try to click in the center of it, it's not going to create the grid. You have to touch a horizontal grid. And then you can place it first and then adjust the location later. I'm doing here. To create a horizontal grid, you have to touch a vertical grid. And if I need to adjust the distance and be precise about the panel size, go back and select the grid, and you can change the spacing. So in order to move things in Revit, you have to select the object you want to move. So to move a grid, select the grid. Don't expect to move this grid if you haven't selected. Like if I change this, it's going to move that grid. It's going to be 6. And then let's say this is 3 again. And then this is another 3. And I am selecting grids and adjusting its relative location. All right, so I have you design how your system must look like by adjusting the location of the grids, and then you place mullions on top of the grids. To place a mullion, you go to the architectural tab and then hit the mullion tool, and then you select the mullions you want to create. And then this is the mullion type. You can also change it. So there's a lot more of clicks when you do the manual method, but you have greater flexibility because you decide how you want to do it. So is it clear how this method works? So again, curtain wall 1 is the automatic method. No, this is the manual method. This is the way I created that. And then the storefront is how I created that one. This is automatic, and this is manual. All right, so if we want to apply this to the Mila house, let's look at the elevation. So I'm going to switch to the floor plan level 1, look at the elevation. And it looks like this is a single panel, but embedded in the frame, we have a door. And I'm going to measure this. And this is about 10'6" by 7. And the door is about 3'4". Right? So it's a very simple curtain wall grid. So what I'm going to create is it's a manual grid. And then I'm going to place this grid manually. Then I'm going to swap the panel from one type to another one. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to do this in the floor plan. So I'm going to do this twice because it seems like it may. There's several steps on it, and then we're going to do it together, or you can try it. You can start with me right now, and then I'll repeat it again. And then we'll stop here, and then if you have questions, stay with me. All right, so first trial. I know this is going to be 10'6", and so I start a wall. And I'm going to create the storefront, which is the automatic method. And in the type properties, I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to call this Mila's storefront, Mila SF. And I know it needs to be, it's not going to have horizontal grids. So I'm just going to say none here. And in the vertical grid, I'm also going to say none. I'm going to create just a single panel. And then I'm going to subdivide the panel manually later. And so around the borders indicate vertical mullion border 1 indicate the left jamb and the right jamb. And the border 1 and 2 and the horizontal means the border 1 is the sill and border 2 is the header. And so each of them can have a different profile. I'm just going to keep it the same way, 2.5. And so what I did is I do not have any interior subdivision. It's just going to be a single panel. And then I hit OK. And then I created a new type based on an existing one. And I'm going to snap to this reference. The height is going to be 7'6". So in the quick properties, change this to 7'6". And I'm going to start at the intersection with this reference plane. And I know I say it was going to be 10'6". And then hit escape. So when I switch to 3D view, there you go. All right. I'm going to do it again because I know some of you may have be behind. So let's do it again. So I'm going to undo. Yeah, so let's do it again. So I'm in level 1, and then I start a wall. I'm going to choose, scroll all the way to the bottom and select storefront. And then edit type. We're going to create a new type based on an existing one. So I don't want to modify the default storefront. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to call this Mila 2. I have it here already. Mila SF. Duplicate, rename. And then the rules I'm going to change for this type is the no vertical grids, no horizontal grids. So just change this to none. Vertical layout, none. Horizontal layout, none. And that's it. The rest of the mullions for the interior, exterior, and boundaries, they're going to be 2.5 by 5. So hit OK. That creates the type definition, and I'm going to create it. I'm going to create these new curtain wall. Make sure on the options bar that your height is unconnected and it has a value of 7'6" according to the elevation. And the first click, it's in alignment with the center line of the wall. And then 10'6" away. That's where I place the second one. Second click, escape. And I'm going to repeat the process for the other one. There's another curtain wall here. So you go, you use the same type. I'm going to start from the right end, and then I'm going to end to the left, 10'6". You can just type on the fly 10'6", and that's going to give you a curtain wall of a certain size. Hit enter, and then escape. And then I should have the 2 storefronts created for me. Now, notice that these curtain wall I still need to add the door. And the best way to do that is to do it in a true projection elevation. Any question here on this before I go to the doors? Okay, to embed a new door inside the inside this, I know that this door is going to be a wooden door, and under the doors, under the door types here, I must load a door called curtain wall door. Like the typical doors that we use, like the single flush doors, you can just drag it and drop it into Revit. You see how Revit doesn't accept it. Revit can accept doors inside regular typical walls, but Revit is not going to accept doors, regular doors inside curtain wall systems. So we have to actually select, load a panel and swap it with a different one. So what I'm going to do here is go to load a curtain wall door. So you go to the insert panel, load family, and go to the doors category. And the door that's going to work with curtain walls is anything that has the word curtain. So in other words, it's going to be any of these 3. So there's a curtain wall, single glass, double storefront, double glass. The one I'm going to bring is the curtain wall, single glass, and then hit open. So nothing has happened yet here. If you look at the properties of this door, notice how the material is glass and the door handle is aluminum. I may want to change that because I know the door is going to be wood. So instead of glazing, what I'm going to do again, after you load the family type, browse or find the curtain wall single glass in the project browser, double click the type, and I'm going to give it I'm going to change the property of the glazing. Instead of being glass, I'm going to pick a wood material. So hit on the glazing cell, click on the 3 dots on the right, look for a wood. There's one called door panel. Then hit OK. And maybe I'll rename this, and instead of being glass, I'm going to call this wood. So it's a wooden panel door made for curtain walls. All right, so now I'm just ready to place the door, and I'm going to do that in an elevation. So I'm going to switch to the south elevation. And then I'm going to place a grid next to this wall, 3 foot, 4 feet away. So you go architecture tab, curtain grid. And again, I think I'm having, it's a little behind the working plane, and I think that's why it doesn't like it. I'm going to do this in 3D. I'm in 3D, and then I go architecture, curtain grid, and you see you touch the vertical, horizontal, the header line in order to create a vertical grid. And this is going to be 3 foot 4, 3 foot 2, 3 foot 2. And that created a mullion automatically. And now to place the door, I'm going to exit here, escape. I must delete the mullion on the sill side. So to delete mullions, you unpin them and delete them. So hover over, select the mullion, unpin it. Once it's unpinned, you can delete. And that is a glass door, and I'm going to swap it with a different type. So tab, allow me to select the panel. I unpin the panel, and then I swap it with the curtain wall door panel, which is right here where it says wood panel. And there you go. So I'm going to repeat the process again. I'm going to do this for the back wall, for the other condition. And then we finish the class. All right, so prerequisite, make sure that we swap the material of the curtain wall window. And so what I did before is I opened the type properties of the glass door for curtain walls, double click it, and then I change the material from glazing to door panel. That's all I did. Once I did that, now I'm ready to subdivide the glass and then replace the panel with a door one. So the way to do this is you go to architectural tab, curtain grid, and then select 3 foot 2 feet away from the jamb. That's where I place the grid. It automatically places mullion. Escape. Then I must delete the jamb, no, the sill. So you select the sill mullion, unpin it. The unpin icon, it's right at the center of it. And then delete, hit the delete key, or you can use the delete tool in the modifiers. And now I'm going to swap the panel. This the way to select the panel. It's takes time to get used to, but it's you hover over the boundary of the panel. Don't try to do it from the center. Go to the edge and then hit the tab key, and that's it. Tab allow me to cycle to everything that is underneath the cursor. And the panel is the first thing that is underneath the cursor. So then select the panel. Notice that it's pinned and it has a little, there's a pin and there's a little symbol next to it, like a chain. And what that means is that that panel is driven by the type properties. Because obviously the subdivision of this is driven by the automatic layout rules. And when I unpin it, I'm releasing that condition. Now the panel is able to be removed or swapped. So I'm going to swap the panel. After I unpin it, I swap the panel to the curtain door single wood, or you can just search for the term wood, and then you're going to find that it's right, this one. Door curtain wall single wood. That was the modified type that I created. And that makes the door a wooden one. So the same here. I thought I had done that here. Like this guy, I would, yeah. There you go. All right, so that's how we created a curtain wall with embedded doors. If you go to the floor plan, you may want to double check the swing. So the family comes with a swing. You can use the double arrow to flip it in the horizontal or the vertical. So I'm going to make this correct. I'm going to flip it on the right, and I'm going to flip it here as well. That is the swing. I'm going to do the same for the other one here. I'm going to make sure that the flip, it's according to the plan. So flip in the horizontal and flip in the vertical. All righty. So in 3D, this is what we have. We still need to work on the kitchen. And we're going to start on this next class. Next class, I'm also going to show you how to create a custom cabinet. We're going to create this custom furniture as well. Yeah, and I do the restrooms as well. You know, restrooms pretty straightforward. You just bring the component and place it where it needs to be. All right, so before I let you go, there was a curtain wall that I did not show. It was the exterior glazing. If you have, if you want to create like a custom glazing in a roof, I mean, that's the type you use, like this exterior glazing. But that needs to be a regular wood, not a face-derived wood. Oh no, I think I can do this. If you select this roof, for example, and go to architecture, I don't know with this type. Sorry, I'm just thinking aloud. I cannot swap this roof by this curtain wall because it's incompatible with face-derived objects, and that's why it gave me that error message. If I had another roof, and we're going to talk about roof, I'm going to refresh the concept of roof in the other class as well. I'm going to quickly create a roof here. Make sure they have slopes. If I want to convert this into storefront, I can do that. It's a slope glazing. And just like I did with the curtain walls, you can create curtain grids and start subdividing it. And then you have to design, you basically have to design it. And then you go back and place mullions. But that glazing only works for sloped surfaces. So this is in case you ever have that need. All right, so that's all I have for today. I'm gonna clean my, remove all these samples here. And this was start 5. I'm gonna save this as start 6 in Google Drive, and we can use that next class. And next class, like I said, we're going to look at interior finishes, kitchen, custom components. Any questions? Okay, if you're able to follow along and everything is okay, feel free to disconnect. If you need help, stay over. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to stop